I'm on the bottom of the white supremacy pyramid that leads to mass murder. As we all know, if there's one person that the white supremacist absolutely adores me, which is why they routinely send me death threats, why the FBI had to arrest a white supremacist 2 years ago for threatening my family. This is all about the collapse of the United States at home, the militarization of our institutions of power against at least half of the population and probably a lot more. So there's been a shift from the program of the left being about materialist redistribution, right? We're just going to take some money from here, we're going to put it over here, toward an attempt to cram down a particular woke point of view. You might call it an authoritarian moment. Yes, that is indeed a self-referential mention of my book title, because that is what we are experiencing. We're experiencing an authoritarian moment, a replacement ideology. The traditional American ideology is being replaced wholesale with an ideology that divides us along racial and religious and tribal and sexual orientation lines, and then demands that everybody who disagrees with you shut the hell up. And this is being crammed down at every level of our society. It's part of the dissolution of American influence. It's part of the dissolution of American principles. What exactly unifies us? And it's being crammed down at, again, every institutional level in our society. So Chris Rufo, who's been doing excellent work over at Manhattan Institute, he uncovered an indoctrination session over at Google. According to Rufo, Google has launched an anti-racism initiative claiming that America is a system of white supremacy and that all Americans are raised to be racist, including me. Like me personally, I'm depicted in a layer of the white supremacy pyramid culminating in genocide. So they had an allyship learning session. In a module called Allyship in Action, Google trained employees to deconstruct their racial and sexual identities and then rank themselves on a hierarchy of power and privilege, then manage their reactions through crying and accessing their happy place. Again, this is all being taught at Google, the single most powerful company on planet Earth. And nearly everybody gets their information through Google or one of its associated companies like YouTube. In a video, guest lecturer Ibram Kendi claimed all Americans, including children as young as 3 months old, are racist. He said to be raised in the United States is to be raised as racist, and to be raised to be racist is to be raised to be almost addicted to racist ideas. And, says Kendi, the heartbeat of racism is denial. And the sound of that denial is I'm not racist. We now have a pure Kafka trap in which if you say I'm not racist, this means that you are 100% definitely racist. If you say you're racist, also you're racist because you just admitted you're racist. Also, Nicole Hannah-Jones admitted in a lecture to Google that she created the 1619 Project to verify her lifelong theory that everything in the modern-day United States can be traced back to slavery. Quote, if you name anything in America, I can relate it back to slavery. She says, if you're white in this country, you're the beneficiary of a 350-year system of white supremacy. How about if you're a tenured professor without any teaching experience or any apparent skill set, celebrated and paid money to do what you do? Are you a beneficiary of the 350-year system of white supremacy also, Nicole Hannah-Jones? And then they came up with a graphic titled The White Supremacy Pyramid. Again, this is the tolerant left, and this is the cultural left that has decided that, again, all of America's founding ideals and even nuanced parts of American history are to be replaced with a simple narrative in which America is just bad. And the only things that are good are people who stand up to that evil system. Okay, so they have the white supremacy pyramid, busting the myth of white genocide in South Africa. I don't know what this has to do with white genocide in South Africa, but they say the white supremacy pyramid. At the bottom is indifference. Okay, there are two sides. Again, this is being taught to all of your bettors at Google, the people who control the flow of information. Indifference. There are two sides to every story. Apolitical beliefs. Avoiding confrontation. Politics don't affect me. So if you just beg out of a question, if you just say, listen, I'm really not involved in this, or I don't follow it closely, or I don't know enough, that's not okay. Minimization. Okay, and then there's a picture of me, right? I'm on the bottom of the white supremacy pyramid that leads to mass murder. There's a picture of yours truly. Now, as we all know, if there's one person that the white supremacist absolutely adores me, they just love me, which is why they routinely send me death threats, why the FBI had to arrest a white supremacist 2 years ago for threatening my family. Yeah, the white supremacists, they just love me. They spend all day just singing my praises. Okay, that is sarcasm for those in the media who apparently are incapable of understanding human expression. Okay, so I am engaged, according to the white supremacy pyramid, in minimization, the white savior complex. I'm confused it seems to me that is liberals who are involved in the white savior complex. They believe that they are the only ones with the moral wherewithal to fix the evil systems of the United States. Minimization, not all white people. So how's it minimization to say not all white people, but it is somehow not minimization to say not all black people? Not all white people and not all black people, that's being more specific. Specificity is good. Not believing people of color's experiences. Well, my general rule is that I believe your emotional state, but that does not mean that your emotional state is always justified. Right? Jussie Smollett was not justified. Also, like I can believe that you misinterpreted something. Denial of white privilege. Again, hard to see how the heroin addict living in a Rust Belt town in Ohio is a beneficiary of white privilege. Post-racism. So if you say that we should move beyond racism, that's minimization, and intentions are greater than impact. Okay, so when I say that in order to be racist, you actually have to do a racist thing, meaning that there has to be like actual racist content to the thing you're doing. Their argument is that if there is any disparate impact based on race of any policy, this is minimization that eventually leads to mass murder. Then you get to veiled racism, which is like victim blaming and racist jokes. A Eurocentric curriculum. If you teach Shakespeare, if you teach Chaucer, all of this is Eurocentric. Racist icons, which I assume would mean like presumably who? Racist icons would be like George Washington, maybe, for these folks. Discrimination, calls for violence, and then finally mass murder. Right? This is the notion here. And the cops, of course, are included in lynching, hate crimes, and police brutality. All the same. So that is what your betters are teaching people over at Google. Right? And this is spread across the corporate sector. This is all about the collapse of the United States at home. The militarization of our institutions of power against at least half of the population and probably a lot more. We're in a battle for the culture and for our values. Like and subscribe to help keep our videos on the front line of the fight and top of your feed.